Hi everyone, Elle Hackney here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I get to speak to everyone in the book community, whether they be authors, illustrators, podcasters, or industry professionals. And today's guest got me thinking about what cats do when their owners aren't home. Can we please welcome Suzanne Patterson?
Good morning, Lauren. Thank you so much. You don't really know how thrilled I am to appear today with you on your YouTube channel. I'll just add that it is actually my first time speaking about myself.
Oh, and there will be plenty more because your book, Mooshy Crackerjack's Big Day, is so much fun. So tell me all about this book.
Well, do you want me to talk about where I got the idea from first, maybe with Mooshy?
Let's talk about where you got the idea and then talk about the story.
All right. Well, my friends had a son who's actually a vet, and he brought home two cats from the vet practice, and one was called Mooshy, and the other was called Condoleezza Rice.
Oh,
Anyway, Mooshy was this cat that he had a lot of health issues and had a face to launch 1,000 ships. He was a troublesome cat. Anyway, my friend's son had to go overseas, so he left then Mooshy with his parents, who are my friends. Anyway, often I would call in to visit and have a cup of tea. Anyway, they would pull their hair out with Mooshy because he was always scratching the furniture, had all the inners of the cushions all everywhere. And no matter what they do, he would curl up on their lap. So they absolutely loved him. One of the things that I had featured in the book with Mooshy, which was real, is that when they had a robo cleaner, that would zoom around,
yeah.
those robot ones, he would sit on top of the robo cleaner. So I just thought this cat was such a firecracker personality because that's where I got his name. His name was Mooshy, and I just thought, well, Crackerjack, it just fitted in. And I just thought, well, he deserved to have a story written about him because he just had this big personality, but he was also very tenacious, mischievous, devious, and could get what he wants just by sidling up to people and purring and all that. So he was a lovable character. And I just thought, in my world of looking at books, there are a lot of beautiful books about cats, but they're all about a particular sort of cat. So I thought it'd be really interesting to throw him into a family of cats so you could see how he would interact with a family. And I just felt then for to make the book a lot more fun, we would have to show his expectation of his tenacious personality. It was his birthday, so he was expecting to be spoilt on this particular day. So his family, who loved him, thought that they would play a little joke on him, and they would pretend that they had not remembered that it was his birthday. So he
Oh,
actually put on his best bow tie and he came down. And of course, all the family, his two sisters, I had named Peaches and Truffle. And he had an interaction with all the house. He went from one sister to another sister, and he couldn't understand without actually asking, "Did you remember it's my birthday?" He sort of looked round because one of them was in the kitchen cooking, and he thought, "Oh, maybe they're making me a cake." And he went out to the shed, and Dad was in the garden shed sorting stuff out. And then his other sister was I think blowing up balloons or things, something like that. I've tried to incorporate a little bit of humour in all the incidents that he's interacted with his family. So what happens then, because he comes to the conclusion that they don't remember it's his birthday, he gets really angry, and this is where then he gets very mischievous, and it could be taken as naughty. Like the ball that Dad had out of the garden shed, the ball of that, he untwined it all and kicked up leaves in the kitchen. He licked all the icing and then spilt it all onto the floor, up where his sister was blowing up balloons. He sort of trod on some, and then all the water went everywhere. So there was just chaos in the house. So when his mother, he couldn't find his mum. So she came home, and she sort of, when she looked at him, he had a blue face, blue teeth, excuse me, Lauren. And then he had they, as a family, they sort of berated him for being naughty, and also that he had to clean up his own mess. So this is when he got out the robo vacuum cleaner, and Mushy being mushy, sat on top of it, trying to clean up after himself. And
I
of
could
course,
just
what
picture this little trail of icing on the kitchen floor.
yes, yes. And like even the vacuum cleaner, it capsized and it spat like fluff everywhere. So even mum had to say, look what you've done, Mushy. Look, at the mess that you've made. And then suddenly, like after all that, the doorbell rang. And then they're like, this is where finally all his cat friends arrive at the door, and I've given them all names, and of course, Maya, who has done the illustrating, has done a beautiful double page spread, Lauren, of all these cats, whatever cat face you could think of, to take up the double page spread, which is really great. Excuse me, I had a bit of a cold. And then so he's overcome with joy, and they all come in, and Mum takes them out into the backyard, and Peaches and Truffle were actually making a cake, unbeknown to him. So although they loved Mushy, it was just a sense of fun as a family member that they would create this surprise birthday. And then at the end, he had opened up this great big present, and it was this massive kite. Anyway, like whilst they're all attending the party out in the backyard, the wind comes up, and so he decides he's going to put his kite up into the tree. So the kite goes up into the tree, and he sails up into the wind at the end of the kite, and the kite gets snagged in the neighbour's fence. And of course, all the party, his cat friends and all that, are there saying, "Oh no, Mushy, look what you've done." Then he drops down and smashes into the birthday cake, and that's where it all ends up in a sense of fun and joy.
I feel for
That's the
Mushy.
short.
Yeah, I feel for Mushy because like there are some times I can't see people do things and they don't mean to.
I
But
know,
this,
I know.
I love this story. This story sounds incredible. So, with the inspiration of the real life Mushy, do you have
Yes.
any more books you want to put and make this almost like a series? Because Mushy just sounds like there's more
I
stories there.
I could. I haven't sort of like got that penned, but what I can do, and what I'm going to do, if you see, this is the real life Mushy. Look at his face. A cat to launch 1,000 ships.
Yep. It just
Uh,
reminds me of that meme where that cat goes, I had fun once. It was awful.
and the thing with the drawing is you can see I don't know whether you can see that real
Yeah, we
clear.
can see it. Yeah.
You see his long whiskers.
Yes.
That's that's why with the whiskers, like even in the first part of the book, I've put his curled up his whiskers, for the party, and he's put on his best bow tie. And that's why I just felt there was this sense of independence. He was a cat that, but all the incidents in the book, Lauren, I suppose like the themes, there's themes of like family love, and it doesn't matter what he did, his family still loved him at the end of the day and accepted him for what he is. Even though from all his escapades, he learned absolutely nothing.
And every family has one of those. What did you do for your book launch? Did you bring the real life mushy?
Can I just say, the real life Mushy has passed away.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So that's he was had I think kidney issues. So
Oh,
my friends had to put him down. So he's still in regard to the book launch. I actually have Lauren a book launch with my local library on the 2nd of October. So they're doing a story time in the morning with children. We're going to make a face mask, cat mask, and then we're going. I've got a bit of a launch later in the afternoon about 6, because being like living in a regional town, I just find I know a lot of people, and they're really maybe like adults with grandkids and parents, and they can't. They work during the day, can't get to the story time. So only because it's my debut book, I thought it might be fun just to have a bit of a get together to actually have more of a conversation like I'm doing with you at night at 6 o'clock, both at my local library.
Oh,
So
that would be wonderful. Absolute face masks, cat face masks in the
yes,
evening would be a lovely way to end the
yes,
day, especially talking about Mooshy. Now,
yes,
with when you submitted this, because visually you know what this cat looks like and acts
yes.
like, did you submit with Illo notes or
Yes, I can tell you that, Lauren. I did submit Illo notes to some of the scenes,
yep,
but I found that Maya, that's the illustrator, she has she's from Georgia, and I can't pronounce her other name's really long. I don't want to embarrass her or myself, but she did a wonderful job. But because I suppose I was looking for the mushy in the story to be portrayed as a ginger cat.
yep.
And she portrayed her using her own creative license. She more or less portrayed Mushy as a grey cat, with like markings and all sorts of stuff. But she did a wonderful job with these facial expressions. Like if you look when you have a look at the spreads, the all these you could zoom in, and you could see his expression about like, oh, they didn't remember my birthday, all this sort of stuff, frustration and all this, different things. And the only thing comment I can make getting back to about the cat. So when looking at Maya's first color sketches or drafts, she did mostly capture like her perception, but like any illustrator, they put their own level of story into it to make the story better. So what she did was in the kite that Mushy got as a gift and opened up, she put Mushy's face in the kite, the ginger cat on the face of the kite. So
Oh,
that's
good.
just how an illustrator perceives their part of the story. And being an author illustrator, I suppose, yes, you have expectation, but I loved the color that she used in the book because it was a sense of a party. It was a celebration. And there were like surprise gifts, a party, everything else that had lent itself, And I just thought the family of cats was just a fun way to go. I mean, I hope people enjoy it.
Oh, I think so. I don't think you're gonna have to worry about this one. It just sounds like every page is just excitement and fun. And it just
Yes,
I love that I love that whole the family forgetting about the birthday business. Now you've got two books out, and I know there's going to be many more to come from someone like yourself. So
yes,
how did this all come about for you?
yes. Well, to keep it pretty short, I had I'm what they call a cartographer. I did I eventually, like, I got a cadetship years ago in cartography and calligraphy. And funnily, just a sense of fun bit. My husband always reckons that I can't read a map. I draw them, but I can't read them. And over the years, the art, the actual pen and ink art form of cartography and calligraphy has been wiped out by technology.
Yes.
It's sort of been wiped off the map, as I'm sure you can see with the introduction of AI.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only then eventually, in my early years when I was doing cartography, I was always like, had my head in books as a reader. I was an avid letter writer. And even when doing the cartography, there were elements of writing for that, particularly in making tourist maps. And I just used to write like a lot of short stories. And then coming from a regional area, I left Bathurst and went to the city still map making. And I then started my traveling overseas. And when I traveled, I used to always just keep journals. I was a great journal keeper, diary keeper. I used to write stories about my life when I lived overseas, and I draw little stick drawings, and things that I look at. So it was only then when eventually that I gave up map making that I then found time to put more time into my writing and this passion for writing children's literature. So I not educated myself. I did the writing picture book course through the Australian Writers Centre, And then because Mooshy's story was written about 5 years ago. So apart from earlier stories that I'd had, so you have a lot of like different stories in your portfolio, some that need to be redrafted or whatever. Then over time, I did the masterclass with the also the Australia's Writers Centre. So they've been just fabulous. And it was just through like networking, living regionally, problem poses a massive problem. Public transport from here in Bathurst, New South Wales, where I live, is painful. Can I just say that? So I've just sort of like through
There's
managed.
a picture book idea, Suzanne.
Yes, I know. And also too, I've just got an idea because I come from that mapping background. One of my more current projects is to actually do a non-fiction book on how to read a map. And I thought that's quite funny because I can't read maps anyway. But anyway, so I've just over time, just like all other wonderful authors, and I've learned, you got to be really thick-skinned, got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off because it's all submissions, rejections, you just gotta be able to just keep moving on, with different things. I that's
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can't control what publishers are publishing because if they've already
no,
fulfilled their quota and you've just submitted something very similar, it's not your
yes,
writing, it's just the fact they're at capacity. And so
yes.
with your journey and your very captivating stories, are you available for school visits either in person or through Zoom?
Look, I've never done that, Lauren, but I would love to have a try.
Okay, anyone watching this video, Susan Patterson's your girl.
Like that, and the thing about that would be all is you can watch other authors do, like the Microsoft, the presentations. And that gets back to your initial question about not being so tech savvy. And that was that initial question you. Like I've been graphically mapping on computers for years, and yet, say Word or merging docos or emails are just hard work for me, just to get it all pat. I think they think if you work on a computer, that all just comes naturally.
But you do have some very, very entertaining stories. So, Susan, anyone out there watching this interview today, how can they contact you?
Yes, they can contact me through email. And I'm quite happy to give them that over the channel. It's Sue Patterson 38 at gmail.com. I do have an Instagram handle, and that is Suzanne P underscore books. And I'll just throw in here, social media is always a bit of a challenge for me. So I haven't as yet I haven't like, don't have a web page, but I think that's coming soon. So I can't give you that now, but I'm hoping to have a bit of a web page with more information, about my journey and books for sale and things. This is all a bit of a new gig. And it's the Kidlet people, I should add here that the Kidlet people, it's a wonderful community and they are loving and supportive. And it just reminds me of like just how Mushy's family are really loving and supportive of him. And just how it's just something that you just got to keep chipping away at. And hopefully you're having
Absolutely.
some wins along the way.
Absolutely. So, anyone watching this video today, if you are interested in Mushy's journey, make sure you buy Susan's books. We want to see more books come from Susan's amazing imagination, very entertaining imagination. So, make sure you check out her socials, check out her books, buy them, review them. Make sure you attend her book launches if you're in town in Bathurst. And we want to see more books from Susan. Thank you so much for talking with me today, Susan. This has been amazing.
Oh, thank you so much, Lauren. It's just been such a privilege. Hopefully there won't be a lot of edits.